All right. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I do apologize for the delayed start. This is the IDEA workshop exploring entrepreneurship information session. My name is V, and my co-host is is Ray. We're so glad that you all are here today. Throughout the session, we'll be taking questions in the chat as well as the Q&A feature. So please feel free to type your questions in there. Please also make sure to keep your mic and video off as this session is being recorded. Now let's get started. First, I'd like to share the agenda. We'll have a short introduction of today's speakers, briefly share our mission at UC Davis Continuing and Professional Education, provide a short background of Socratic Arts, give you a glance into the field of entrepreneurship, go over the program as well as the course, as well as do a demo and go over the requirements, and then end with the dates, obviously the dates and the cost of the programs and the contacts that you can get in touch with in case you have any questions. And then we'll open it up for some questions from you all. So let's learn a little about you first.
Okay, my name is Ray Burries. I have a PhD in computer science from the University of Texas at Austin. I've been a professor at both Northwestern University and Carnegie Mellon University. And that was Carnegie Mellon's Silicon Valley campus, where I started a program which granted a master's degree specialization in entrepreneurship and software management. I left Carnegie Mellon about 6 years ago to join some old friends and start a company called Socratic Arts, which delivers high quality online education.
All right, thank you, Ray. Like I said earlier, my name is V. Pereira. I graduated from UC Davis in 2015 and have been working as a program specialist for CPE for the past 3 years. I'm very excited to be working with Socratic Arts and creating these programs for you. Moving on to CPE's mission, continuing in professional education has been the lifelong learning arm of UC Davis, providing learning opportunities that range from youth to international to professional communities. We have served students in Northern California, all 50 states, and more than 100 countries, and we hope to continue our reach in the future. Now I'm going to hand it over back to Ray to tell you about this exciting program and give you a little background on how it all began.
Okay, thanks, V. So you probably haven't heard of us. Socratic Arts was founded in 2002 by a visionary cognitive science and artificial intelligence researcher, Professor Roger Schenck. I also have a background in artificial intelligence research. And back in the day when we were doing AI, we looked at human cognition to provide a model of intelligent systems. And one of the most fundamental things that an intelligent entity does is to learn. And when we looked at learning, we were struck, especially Roger was struck, at how the way students are taught in school at all levels differs from how people naturally think and learn. So Roger abandoned AI research and started something called the Institute for the Learning Sciences at Northwestern University and has devoted the rest of his life to changing education. So you guys know how education works, right? So a goofy professor like me, or maybe a teacher for younger students, talks at the students. Students are asked to do some small, well-defined homework problems once in a while, and they get a little bit of feedback on them, but probably not much. They take a test. Well, cognitive science research unambiguously tells us that that is not a learning approach, which results in knowledge and skills to be used. Knowledge and skills that transfer from the situation in which they're learned to application in the real world. So what promotes that transfer? Well, that transfer is promoted if the situations are similar. So what we've done is we've completely eliminated this lecture homework test model of education. And instead we put students in a realistic situation doing the sorts of things they want to do and they learn the knowledge and skills just in time as they're relevant to what they're trying to accomplish. So you might say, wow, without lectures, how do people learn? Well, I mean, the dirty secret is you don't learn much from lectures, but what we do is we provide a couple of things. We provide very carefully curated learning material that's indexed to what the students are trying to do, so they consult it just enough, just in time to accomplish what they want to accomplish. And also we provide knowledgeable mentors, and those mentors are always available to provide help, advice, and feedback on students' work. So let's switch to entrepreneurship, shall we? So a lot of people, not just young people, dream of starting a business. And as you know, living in Northern California, these entrepreneurial ventures have the potential to literally change the world. But it's not enough to say, hey, I want to start a business, or hey, I've got a cool idea. You really need to apply a lot of careful, creative thought and systematic analysis to come up with something that is, number one, what people want, and number two, likely to succeed as a business. And what we're going to do is we're going to take students through an experience of envisioning a product and a business model for selling that product. It could be a service, of course, if that's what they want to do. And just as an aside, this is based on a short course that I taught at Carnegie Mellon University Silicon Valley campus as kind of a fun introduction to our master's program in software management and entrepreneurship. So it is taught 100% online. Students can work through tasks from anywhere. We meet on Zoom. I mean, if another technology becomes better, we'll switch to something else, but for now we're using Zoom. And at every step, mentors are available to provide help, advice, and feedback as students need it. They will not lecture to students, but they'll help students and they'll evaluate students based on the work students produce. And this is real world. And it's based on a very successful university program at Carnegie Mellon University. And because of this learn by doing real world nature, we can put a lot of emphasis on things beyond purely technical skills, things like analytical thinking, communication, and problem solving. Another thing the students will learn in a program like this is self-directed learning, which is a critical skill, to future-proof themselves in the world of employment. The world keeps changing and you have to keep learning. So what we'll do in the course is students will go through an ideation process, coming up with an idea for a product or service and a business model twice. They'll work individually in teams to brainstorm a product idea. They will use a template called the Lean Canvas to envision a business model. And then they'll pitch the idea to their mentor and their fellow students, who will act as if they are potential early stage investors. The first time they go through, we'll give them an idea to address. And the second time, students can self-organize into teams and explore their own ideas for products and services. So here is the first thing. We did a focus group a little while back with young people in the early stages of high school, saying, what do you need? What problems do you have? The thing is, a product or service needs to solve a problem. It just can't be something that's cool. And this is an idea that really resonated with the members of the focus group. A young guy, 15 years old, came up with this. He wants to make money, but he doesn't know how to connect with people who will pay him. He doesn't know how to find out what people need done, especially people he doesn't know. And he doesn't want to go out door to door, and he doesn't feel comfortable. And his parents, I actually know his parents don't want him to do that. So what can we do? Can we create a product or a service that will help young people like this guy to find jobs? I mean, he loves to buy electronic devices and he wants money to buy electronic devices, and his parents limit what they'll spend. So if he had his own money, he could just go crazy. The second time, students can envision their own product or service. It can be anything that they want. But as the founder of Y Combinator noted, the way to get startup ideas is not to say, oh, I want to think of startup ideas, but it's to look for problems, maybe even problems you have yourself. So what in the world annoys you? What would you like to be able to do better or do easier? And so students are going to ask themselves and each other that question, and they're going to come up with an idea to address a problem, a need. Okay, let's look at a little bit of the course. So it's online. We have a website for the course, and this is it. Are there any questions so far? I can stop for a sec and people could type questions in the chat if you'd like. You realize there's kind of an irony that I'm here espousing learning by doing, and then I'm lecturing at you, telling you that lectures don't work. So it'd be much better if you want to ask some questions, which I'll be glad to answer. Okay, maybe there'll be some questions in a little while. Ask questions anytime, please. Okay. So the idea, the goal of the workshop is for students to have a promising idea for a product or service, something that will address user and customer needs. Users and customers might be different. And they'll come up with a preliminary business model to take their products and services to market that include key characteristics of the customer, the market, and how they're going to make money off of it. If that's their goal, they might want to do something for a social benefit that doesn't make a profit for them. They'll work in teams. The reason they'll work in teams is because nearly all successful entrepreneurial ventures involve teams. And organizations like Y Combinator, to the best of my knowledge, will never accept a single entrepreneur who wants to work alone. So, told you what we were going to do. I won't go through that again. And each week we will meet Monday through Thursday for 2 hours a day. And this is a 2-week course. So on Monday, the students will brainstorm a product idea. On Tuesday, they'll come up with a business model. On Wednesday, they'll create a pitch, just like an entrepreneur would do, say, in Silicon Valley. On Thursday, they'll present that pitch to their mentor and fellow students, and then we'll debrief. We'll give them feedback on how they did. Okay, so we saw this before. Here's the problem this young guy has. And here's some questions to think about. How can a young person find the kind of work they want to do? How can employers who want to get odd jobs done find young people who want to do them? I mean, I have things I want done around my house, and I don't know how to find somebody to do them. There are some things that would certainly be appropriate for young people. How can a young person make sure the job offer is legitimate and they'll be paid fairly? And how can they be sure that it's safe? And so what we ask students to do is to brainstorm a service that will provide answers to these and other questions, and then a business model for that service. Okay, so the first thing they're going to do, this, by the way, is something we call a project roadmap, is some of the support material we have for students as they work. And as I said before, a mentor is always available, will be there as they're working. Give them help, advice, answer questions. So we asked them to review everything. Since they're going to work in a team, they need to form a team. They need to decide together how they are going to work. And then we asked them to create something called a problem analysis document. And that will articulate how the team is thinking about the problem. And we believe in roles and teams. And I mean, we come out of the software engineering world at Carnegie Mellon. So there would be a role document owner, and somebody on the team will own the document. And the goal as they're working through this is to be inclusive, not restrictive, not to kind of shout other people down, but to listen to everybody, to incorporate everyone's ideas insofar as it makes sense. The first thing they'll do is they'll brainstorm ideas. They'll come up with some initial ideas. I mean, the sky is the limit. Just pretend anything is possible. What are the ideas you have? So you start off by thinking, who are your prototypical users? What are their abilities? What are their goals? What's their problem? And then we do have things like some video help. This is me. I mean, I'm kind of an old guy, but hopefully students would listen to me. I'll give you a sample.
Many people think it's really difficult to come up with a good idea for a product. It's really not that hard, especially given that your idea is more likely to be a starting point for your product, something that will evolve significantly through the course of your work than an idea that emerges full-blown from your mind. There actually is a pretty straightforward approach to doing this. First of all, you have to pick something that you're personally passionate about.
Okay, so anyway, it gives you a feel. So there's a lot of advice in video, and I or other people will be there to give advice to students live, certainly. So they'll take each challenge in the problem analysis document and brainstorm a way to address that problem. And what research has found is that brainstorming should alternate between individual and group brainstorming. And if you just brainstorm in groups, you'll end up coming up perhaps counterintuitively with fewer ideas than if you start as individuals and bring your ideas to the group and discuss them. So students need to figure out how they're going to brainstorm. They need to establish rules, appoint someone to lead the session, how it's going to be organized, and set a time limit. And this brainstorming session should be fast, fun, and supportive. You don't want to look at someone's idea and say, oh, that just won't work. But think about it. Is there a way, if you don't think it'll work, that you could make it work? So anyway, students will do this brainstorming session. At the end, they'll decide on an idea for a product or service to pitch. We have some more video. They'll come up with a business model. They'll use Ash Maurya's lean canvas. And in case you're wondering what that is, this is what a lean canvas looks like. And this is a template that you fill in. And by filling this in, it helps you to holistically envision a model for a business. Students will develop a pitch. And what we're going to ask them to do here is to use Guy Kawasaki's 10-20-30 pitch. Guy was an Apple evangelist. Now he really coaches people in entrepreneurship. And although Guy suggests 10 slides, we're going to do 7 because a couple of the slides that Guy suggests are slides that it's really too soon to do. So this is just kind of an off the top of your head rough draft of how you'd pitch your idea. Of course, you'll need to take the lean canvas and translate it into an explanation. You can't just put that complicated template on the slide and say, oh, here's our business model. So anyway, advice on doing that. You can see we also have a lot of learning resources. Resources on what makes a successful entrepreneur, on idea generation, developing a business model, developing a presentation and pitch, resources on brainstorming. So we have a lot of things available for students. The idea is to make this fast, fun, make it light but engaging, make it not like school as usual. And then they'll pitch the idea and business model to the mentor and fellow students, and we'll all give them feedback on their idea. What do we think? Do we think it would succeed? Do we have any ideas to improve what they've suggested? So that then gives you an idea of how you do it. The first time they're working on that young guy's need for work. The second time will be their own idea. Then we'll ask them to reflect, to think about the lessons learned from their experience. What can they take away and apply in the real world, apply to their day-to-day lives? So that's what the course is like. Are there any questions before I go on? Hopefully you can tell I'm really excited about this. I mean, this course is one of my babies, and it was a great success at Carnegie Mellon. Okay, maybe you'll have questions in a little while. We'll keep going. So this educational approach that we're using here is called the story-centered curriculum approach. We did develop this at Carnegie Mellon University, and it's proven to be highly successful for learning knowledge and skills to transfer to the workplace in the case of adult learners. I would say that during the 10 years I was at Carnegie Mellon, we graduated over 1,200 students whose graduate study was done entirely this way, and hundreds more Carnegie Mellon students took individual courses this way. We put a strong emphasis on skills beyond purely technical skills. And these are skills that students can use in their daily lives in school right away. And the mentors are really a secret sauce of the program. They're there to enhance the experience. And we are very good at online mentoring. We've been doing this for years. I believe we do it better than anyone. So really, what do students need? They just need to be interested. They need to work closely with others. They need to be willing to do that. And because we're going to do this online using Zoom or a similar technology, they need a desktop or laptop computer with a high-speed internet connection. We will do it with video because we'll want students to feel a sense of presence and to talk with each other as people, not just as disembodied voices. We're going to run the program for 2 weeks in July and again for 2 weeks in September. It'll meet Monday through Thursday, 4 to 6 p.m. And the tuition is $545. You can register at this address. You needn't write it down because if you registered for the webinar, we will be glad to send you a copy of this deck and even a link to the recording if you'd like it. And if not, you can send us an email and then we'll be sure you get what you want and answer any questions you have. So again, I'm Ray Barise. My colleague who's on line with me tonight is V, and Sandy Montrose is the UC Davis program manager for these immersion experiences for pre-college students. Are there any questions? Please use the Zoom chat. I have it open. I know V has it open as well. And we'd like to hear from you. We'd like to hear what you think.
Yeah, I'm going to allow the audience to speak. So if you'd like to talk, just go ahead and accept.
You know, I'd have some questions about this if I was a student considering this, or if I was a parent considering enrolling my child. So please ask. Okay, V, perhaps people don't want to ask questions in this large group setting, and perhaps they'd rather email questions to us. And that would certainly be great. We'd be glad to answer any questions you want to send by email.
In the meantime, we want to mention some common questions that we've been asked is if you miss, how if I miss a day of class? And Ray can answer that for you.
What we will do is we will reach out to a student who misses a day, and we'll make sure that they are caught up on any material they miss. Given how short the course is, we would hope the students wouldn't necessarily miss more than a day during the 2 weeks. But we'll work it out. You know, it's Monday through Thursday, and you know, I don't know. We've been running these courses, and students do get engaged. They do make the time. They do attend. V, any other frequently asked questions you want me to answer tonight?
Yeah, I wonder if it's program specific, but we have been asked, when, uh, like what a class day would look like, from logging on to logging off.
Well,
And if there's homework afterwards.
well, okay, no, there is not homework unless students choose to do some work on their own, which they're certainly always welcome to do. Basically, what happens is we introduce what we're going to do during the day. We give the students an agenda for that 2-hour session. It is often the case that the first hour is more structured than the second. It is not a lecture, but it's students working, but they will be a little more directly guided. And then after they get a good start, they'll work more independently with a mentor or mentors available to give them help as they need it during the second hour. And again, what they will do is the first day of each week, they'll brainstorm a product or service idea. The second day, they will brainstorm a business model for taking it to market. The third day, they will create a pitch. And the fourth day, students will pitch their ideas to their mentor and fellow students. And they'll go through that process twice. The first week on an idea, a problem we give them. The second week on something that is their personal passion. Hey, V, are there any more questions that you want me to answer?
I don't see any more. Again, like if anybody else has any more questions, feel free to email us and we will get them answered for you. If nobody has anything else, I think we can close the session. Again, as I put in the chat, a recording, a copy of this recording will be sent out to everybody in attendance. Thank you all for joining us, and we hope you are able to enroll. Thank you, Ray, for presenting, and I hope everyone has a great afternoon.
Okay, thanks everyone, and have a great evening. Goodbye.